Yeah, let's do a quick review on Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, since both of us have played through the entire thing. I'd have to say, overall, it's excellent. I love the game. I have the minorest of minor complaints with it, and they're not even complaints. I feel like the music doesn't always pop in or sync with battles or atmosphere, and maybe that's something they can fix in a patch. I also feel like while they do a whole lot, and I'm going to talk extensively about what they do with the whole multiple dimension thing, I think there was a missed opportunity to make the multiple dimensions more different from each other, because you switch back and forth and it's the same enemies in both dimensions, and it feels more like you're going from future past. You know what I mean? But those are minor gripes. I would say that overall it was fantastic. It moved smoothly. The graphics were incredible. Like, it's definitely a PS5 game. One of the few out there that you could not do on a PS4. When you get in-game, like really in-game, you have all of... I mean, they took all of the traversal elements from previous games and just fine-tuned them, threw them in this game, added a few more. And I really like... I know it's supposed to showcase off the solid-state drive, but the whole grabbing your Rift tether, you grab like a little tear in space and immediately warp to where it is. So instead of you traveling to a point, the point travels to you. It's just a cool way to traverse. Like, I like the mechanic. It kind of saves your time a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
And when they incorporated hitting the crystals to go back and forth between dimensions while you're grinding, and then going on like all the rails and the different swings and everything, like, it was intense in the best way possible.
Natural evolution of the gameplay through the game, which was just great. It's great to see.
Yeah, the writing was decent. I agree with you. It's a little bit more heartfelt this time. I think it's got a ways to go before it gets to the heavy hitters, you know, like your God of Wars and your Last of Us type games.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it was almost there.
It was. It got
They
really close.
Just a little bit.
I think because they were going for a more Disney ending, even though they explored some heavier themes, they couldn't really go there with it and take some arcs to what you would think would be their logical conclusion. Especially when it comes to, I don't want to ruin too much of the story, but when it comes to the relationship between Rivet and Kit, which are the alternate universe analogs for Ratchet and Clank, right?
Yeah.
I thought their story was very interesting, though, and I was intrigued. And, you know, you can guess a few things, obviously, along the way about how that was going to play out, but you couldn't guess how they were going to react. And the route that they chose, again, I thought was a little more Disney, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And at the end of the day, this is a great game for kids as well as adults, so I'm glad that it had a lot of good messaging about accepting yourself, including your flaws, things like that. I mean, Rivet lost her arm and didn't seem fussed about it at all. She had a robot arm that she used. Clank actually loses his arm very early in the game, and Rivet doesn't see it as a default. She's like, you're just fine the way you are. And he comes to... They don't even fix his arm. He just comes to accept, yeah, I have one arm now.
Right.
Which is weird because he's a robot. Like, you could easily fix his arm.
I was wondering the whole game. I was like, oh, so he's just going to have one arm this whole game, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, I get where they were going with that. They didn't want to immediately go, hey, you're broken, you need to be fixed. There was even a little bit of a story beat that happened where he was able to use that as a way to convince another robot that he's not necessarily broken just because he's missing an arm, and that there are other things that can make him whole aside from getting his arm back. And I thought that was an interesting turn.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, me too.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, the whole level was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think?
Fantastic, man. Like I said, a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Or 5 out of 5, or 3 out of 3, or 1 out of 1. Like, it's just so good. Like you said, the writing was pretty much on point. Pretty Disney, but still really good.
Yeah, I chuckled a lot. Like, it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really dug how many different gameplay elements were in the game. Like, the Clank sections, the rifts in the stages that you go into to get different armors.
The glitch levels.
Yeah, the glitch levels.
Little glitch bot. She's cute.
Hell, the arena. I actually really like the arena.
I love a good Ratchet and Clank arena, yeah.
Yeah, and Zircon Jr.
Or a.k.a. Invader Zim.
Right. Zircon Juniors.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Armageddon or something wild.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I will say that you definitely want to go and turn on subtitles, especially when Zircon is talking, because he's always screaming his lines, which are funny, but it's going to be kind of hard to hear what he's saying, especially if he's talking over you trying not to die.
Oh yeah, and when you're previewing the weapon, Zircon Jr. does the narration of that as well.
Yeah,
it's just great.
He's got a thirst for blood, and it comes out when he describes the weapons for sure.
Yeah, I will say I wish they used Mrs. Zircon more as an actual character.
Okay. I mean,
simply because when she first shows up, when Ratchet shows up in the alternate dimension, and she's like, "Oh, the Resistance, yeah. Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm so excited to be part of the Resistance." And then they just kind of, here's your weapons.
Yeah. No, that scene was, you know what? That's a really good point you're bringing up. That's another, it's not, again, it's a minor gripe, but.
Yeah, it's very minor.
The very beginning of the game feels so different from a Ratchet and Clank game in a good way, but then it quickly goes back to being a Ratchet and Clank game. So when you get to the first level after the plot sets in motion and you're Ratchet, sans Clank, looking around to try to see if you can get your bearings. When you dropped into the first city, it feels like a living, breathing city. It's neon. It's a little bit noir-esque. There's some Big Brother shit going on because you're in an alternate dimension where... So Dr. Nefarious is actually Emperor Nefarious, and so he's got all of the people in that dimension under his heel, basically. And there's personality, and you can tell that people live there. Whereas in the past, Ratchet and Clank worlds just feel like levels that you go through to tear shit up, which nothing wrong with that. And I dug that. I dug the atmosphere. I kind of walked around a little slower. I was looking around at things. There was a club where people were hanging out, and I love the haptic feedback on the controller. Like,
yeah,
you could feel the beat in the controller. It was really cool. And there's a lot of really cool stuff with the controller and the different guns. Like this game was made for haptic. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's like pull in the blaster, and it's be like
like that
controller just going.
The black hole gun, the one that shoots really fast, that one actually vibrates the controller when you fire it, which feels really amazing. But yeah, and like you said, Miss Zircon had a personality, and she was a part of the Resistance. She's like, "Oh, hey, you can go over here," and then Ratchet's like, "Thanks, Secret Agent Zircon," and she like giggles. And there's this, there's a story element, and it kind of just tapers off a little bit. And again, there's still a story. There always is in Ratchet and Clank. But it felt like the level was a part of the story rather than the backdrop for you to tear shit up and occasionally have a cutscene.
Right.
And I think they had an idea in their head to keep it like that when they started, but then quickly just fell back on the old faithful of dump you in a level with a bunch of enemies, get from point A to point B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that, but I saw a hint of something different that I really liked, and hopefully they can explore that a little bit further. I don't know if they got rushed or if they had to drop certain elements they were going to do, or it just didn't jive with the pacing of the gameplay. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, here's to the next Ratchet and Clank. Hopefully we get it before PS6.
Right? Yeah. Can we go back to PS3 where we got like 5 of them mugs or 6?
Yeah.
There's a bunch, man.